February, we have a very powerful call to action here with the Judgment card. It is going to be universally felt. We're going to have revelations of all kinds of truth that we've either been unaware of, avoiding, or have been hidden from us that are going to become completely visible and obvious, completely unable to avoid or ignore. And it's going to be up to us now what we do with that information. Are we going to choose avoidance and denial, or are we going to choose to align with our truth? Are we going to choose to remain asleep, or are we ready to awake and ascend to a higher meaning? This is your monthly tarot energy forecast for the collective with Crystal Aura Tarot. Welcome to February, dear friends. I'm Natalie. This is my tarot deck Ruby, and welcome to the tarot energy reading for the collective for February. Our card for February is Judgment. This is a powerful call to action that's going to be happening this month. This is going to be universally felt. The Judgment card here is a card from the Major Arcana, and the Major Arcana cards always reflect energies that are external, cosmic, almost karmic, universal, projected onto us. So while we feel these energies individually in our own personal experience, actually it is a common energy that everyone is going to be challenged by this month. And it's a very powerful time because what we're seeing here is a call to speak the truth, to stand up for what you believe in, and to be brave enough to choose what's right. So let's talk about this. What we see here in the card is just like the Bible story. It's the apocalypse. It's a time of the apocalypse. And this trumpet is being sounded to herald this time of resurrection, of awakening. And we actually see this happening literally in this card with all of these bodies rising from their deep stasis, from their slumber. This is the literal raising of the dead here, in order to be saved, to ascend. And so this is a powerful moment in the collective awakening that's happening right now. And I did a little bit of meditating after I pulled this card. I really like to work with the symbols in the tarot to see which symbols wanted to speak and also to see what messages were coming through. And right now when I'm looking at this card, if you look at it with me, we see bodies being risen from their tombs, and you've got a huge body of water, and then in the background there we have mountains, really cold, icy, sharp, tall mountains. Before in the sky we see this angel in the clouds with this trumpet and this flag sounding, heralding the time of change, this prophesized time. And so if we look at the mountains in the very background, this shows how much we've overcome. The mountains, especially when they're cold, when they're icy, when they're sharp, it just shows how difficult the challenges that we've recently been going through have been. And we have gone through some pretty hard, sharp, cold times recently. And it's been a time that has woken many people up. It has raised people from their own stasis. And what do I mean by that? Stasis is the deepest form of sleep. And so what we're finding is a reanimation, and this is what's happening in this card. These dead bodies are being reanimated. Their spirits are awakened and revived, and they actually now have a choice, right? So the trumpet has woken them up, but they still have a choice what happens next. And this is the judgment. That's what this card is about. Even more than actually being judged from the outside, it's our own judgment here. What judgment are we using when we make this decision for ourselves in this really powerful time? And also how we will judge ourselves. Something that's really important in this card for me, it's a choice point. So we're at this crucial choice point, each and every one of us, and the universe is demanding this of us right now. It's divinely timed, this choice point. We know it's a choice point because we see there's two symbols in this card that tell me this. We have the numbers of this card, which is 20, and 2 and 0 is 2. So 2 is a very powerful card representing polarity, but also the need to make a choice between two options, weighing things up. And we also have this flag here, which shows a cross, and in this reading, I'm seeing this as a crossroads. So we're given the opportunity to choose which path we take, which direction are we going in. This is all up to us. So in order to choose that, we need to use our judgment, but we also need to project ahead into the future. How will we judge ourselves based on this choice that we're making right in this moment? If we look back on our lives when we're close to the end, when we're nearing our time around here, and we look back at our lives all the way back to this moment, and we think about everything that came of the decision made at this choice point right here, are we going to be happy with the choice we've made? Are we going to be proud of ourselves? Or are we going to have some kind of regret and a wish that we chose the other path? Judgment isn't so much about other people judging you. It's actually about you judging yourself, as I talked about, you feeling aligned in the decisions you're making, so much so that you feel confident that when you are later in life and you're looking back in these key moments, that you're proud of the decision you made rather than having regret. That's important. But also higher judgment, right? Having higher judgment, caring less about those humans in your field that might judge you for something you've done or something you've said or a truth that you've spoken or a choice that you've made to, say, move on to something better, healthier, more aligned, and leaving stuff behind. The judgment of our highest source. So that could be what we call God. A lot of people will reflect on the phrase, only God can judge me. If you are feeling called to make a decision to align with truth, whether that's macro or micro for you, you might say, it doesn't matter to me what people think, only God can judge me and my actions and my choices right now. If that doesn't resonate with you, it might be your higher self. So often our higher self will show us the truth, will speak the truth to us, but we either don't hear it, we ignore it, we avoid it, or we choose what's easier. Your higher self never judges you, but it's more about, are you honoring your truth in that way? Are you honoring your highest self? Are you honoring your highest intelligence, your wisdom? Are you honoring your intuition? Are you honoring your desire? Are you honoring your feelings that are real? That's the judgment we should be concerned about rather than humans in our sphere judging us. So we're at a crossroads right now as a collective, and we're being given the choice to wake up. And if we're already on the path of awakening, well, it's waking up even more. It's becoming even more animated, becoming even more spirited, becoming even more alive and in the actual reality of living rather than the sleepy matrix that we're programmed into living that's not really living for a lot of us. So in February, we're going to be asked to choose almost which side are you on, but that kind of sounds very polarized, divisive, and political. And I don't think this is about politics, although politics are going to be really showing us some truths that are prompting this reality for us that we have to choose to decide what we believe, what we value, what's important to us, and what we're willing to tolerate. So rather than what side you're choosing politically, and this is so funny as well because we're literally seeing people awakening here, and there's all this discourse around wokeness. It is the subversion of the awakening that we're actually going through. Woke movements, woke politics, however you want to describe that, is there because we're going through actual awakening right now. And the power structure that controls this 3D reality we live in, that some people call the matrix, they love subverting our reality when we start to get glimpses of the actual truth and we start to awaken to our own power, our own knowledge, our own wisdom. They double down on the subversions, and they'll often use the terminology for what's actually happening against us to make it mean something else. So don't be afraid of awakening, even if you don't like woke stuff, you know. So rather than having to choose a side of politics, of arguments, of constructed divisions, that's not what this is about. This is so much deeper than that. That is so 3D and so ego level. And this is a calling to ascend higher and go deeper. So we are choosing between truth and ignorance here, right? We are going to be presented with so much truth that we're not used to seeing in this month. It starts now, that the choice will be unavoidable. Before, we didn't need to choose. The programs were so strong, the narrative so convincing, that we didn't need to choose. And now the obvious truth is going to be so in our faces that there is no room for ignorance anymore. And if we're choosing ignorance, that's on us. We can't blame the program or the systems anymore. So choosing between truth and ignorance, choosing between stepping into your power, owning your power, living in your truth, or remaining in a state of avoidance and denial and being controlled, and choosing to fully wake up or remain asleep in some way. So if we look at this card again, this call from the heavens, from this higher power, and what's an angel? An angel is a winged being. Winged beings live above our ground level that we humans walk on. And that means that they are closer to source. They are closer to creator. They have a lighter vibration because they live at a higher level. And when the angels come to interact with us, they are bringing us a message. So this angel is a divine messenger using literal vibration to wake us up. So you'll often hear about raising vibration, right? This is what's happening. The angels are being sent to raise our vibration, and be very aware of what you consume, because so much of what we consume is vibration, right? Everything's vibration, but literal words are spells. So we want to be really aware of the words that we're receiving and how it's making us feel, how we're processing that. So this trumpet is very symbolic of that. You can actually see the sound waves reaching people. What's reaching you? What are the messages that are entering your field? Be aware. Don't be asleep. Be awake to that and make a choice. Is this good for me? Or am I actually noticing, when I become aware of it, that I'm not enjoying what I'm receiving? Whether that's conversations with people at work, whether that's how you're talked to by your partner, whether that's the news on in the background every evening in your household, whether that's the podcast that you listen to or the music that you listen to, actually playing around with your nervous system in a way that doesn't feel that nice to you. You know, wake up to these impacts of these vibrations. It's very important, because it's going to now become obvious. And now that you know, you get to make a choice. You are empowered to make a choice. So if we look at this card again, this vibration, this call, this sacred call is so loud that it is raising the dead, the sleepers. So that's showing me how loud, how obvious these truths are going to be. So when I say truths, what does that mean? Well, given that this is pretty biblical in imagery, I'm feeling revelations are going to be coming, and they start in February. This could be news around the world. This could be news in your country. This could be politics. This could be the whole new Trump regime, sort of bringing new stuff to light. This also, I think, is going to have a lot to do with things we start to learn about what really happened with COVID and with the pandemic. There's so much. It can also be in more of the micro sense, because I often see the major arcana as a lot to do with the macro experience, that the macro energies can still infiltrate into your microcosm of your life and affect you in a more personal way. So this could be revelations within your family unit, within your workplace, within your business, within your friend group, within your community. There's different ways these revelations can come about, but what I'm feeling is that they hold so much strength that they can't be avoided. So in the past, we've been able to turn a blind eye to news that we weren't really interested or didn't like. We could decide to not care about politics, which I think is still a very powerful stance to take, but we're going to be given so much information that can be quite shocking, that literally wakes us up and shocks our field, that it's going to be hard to choose to stay asleep. And that's what I'm feeling is the biggest kind of message and energy of this card for February. And so, for instance, that might be evidence of something really obvious coming to the table from a news perspective, a medical perspective. It might be about corruption, for instance. And you get a choice to re-examine your beliefs around what you always knew to do with that particular subject. This could be the trust we place in authorities or our government, or the belief we had in our systems that are supposed to care for us, say our medical system, something like that, our experts that we trust so deeply. There will be truth that comes to light, and it's going to expose something that hits really hard, and there won't be the choice to avoid it because it's unavoidable. Before this point, it was easier to choose not to hear, but that's not the case this time. So we are being called to align with our highest truth, with our own wisdom, with our own inner intelligence, and with the obvious facts that are being presented that can no longer be glossed over, can no longer be hidden, can no longer be argued with. The other thing I want to say about this card is that it seems like really poignant that this is appearing at this time. All timing is divinely orchestrated, and the moment that we're called to wake up from our stasis is definitely a time that is divinely orchestrated. And so this is a really interestingly timed card. Nothing is ever a coincidence from my perspective. So the fact that we're seeing this card here at the same time that we have President Trump back in power, constantly speaking about this return of a golden age. The golden age is something that has been prophesized by so many cultures around the world for thousands of years. And a lot of them do believe we're either in that time or about to reach that time again. And does that mean it's because Trump has come into power and brought this in for us? Well, no. It means that he's arrived for whatever reason the universe is cosmically orchestrated, he has arrived at the dawning of this new age, basically. So Trump's arrival back in the White House is going to shake a lot of stuff up. Whether he is the cause for the truth coming out and he's on the side of truth or not, that is irrelevant to me. His presence is creating an environment, for whatever reason, where the truth is able to come to light across so many different sides. There can be truths that he is exposing about the other side. There can be truths that come out that he exposes about himself being not so great a dude. It's more about the time has been prophesized. And so he is using language. Remember what I said before about our subversion? He's using language like the golden age has arrived. It's back. This golden age has been prophesized, and the signs are happening right now. So he's not lying when he says that. Whether he's the cause of it or he just happens to be there at this time, it depends on what you believe, right? So with the golden age, it's really about a return to connection. It's about a return to ease, our natural state of being, about living in abundance and not in control and lack. So many beautiful, positive things about the golden age. And we have to choose first that we're deserving of living in the golden age. But second, this is what happens when we choose to ascend beyond the mundane, beyond the control systems. And once we make that decision, the golden age will be upon us. So we don't wait. We have to also choose not to wait for that to be given to us by government, by politicians, by tech oligarchs. We have to choose that for ourselves. We have to claim it. And we're actually being invited here to do just that. So don't allow those controlling powers to dictate to you what you deserve and what you can expect to have. It's really cool, on the one hand, that we have people in such positions of power talking in that way, almost in a spiritual way, about this new age, this new dawn that is here for us now. But at the same time, remember what I said earlier about subversion. They're all highly skilled in subverting what's actually ours and belongs to us and the real truth in stuff. All you have to do is think back to the pandemic and the word misinformation and how much evidence we had that what they were calling misinformation could actually be true, and what we were being told was true was actually misinformation. This happens all the time, that our sovereignty is subverted. And so it's time to reclaim that. So that's another invitation here, a choice point we have is, how brave are we willing to be to reclaim that sovereignty? But know we're supported. We are supported by the angels, by the angelic realms, by a higher wisdom. We're supported by a higher wisdom here, and it's safe. It's now safe. This is a really great message for this month, that we may be called to be brave in speaking our truth, in stepping into our authenticity, in honoring our higher self. But we are supported in a way that we haven't been before. So even though it might feel like we have to be the bravest we've ever been, the consequences aren't as dire anymore. I can't tell you why that is, but we have a level of support here that is going to make it easier than ever to stand in your truth, easier than ever to align with your wisdom and live your beliefs, your evolved beliefs. And so that is what that resurrection looks like. The resurrection looks like us waking up and rising up and claiming our sovereignty. That's actually really exciting. And that is the golden age. There is freedom. There is freedom in that choice, even though it might feel incredibly scary at that choice point. Once the choice is made and you're brave enough to take that action, to speak up, to make that decision, to leave something behind, to leave that program behind that's been limiting you, to leave that job behind that doesn't serve you, that you don't enjoy, to leave that relationship behind that might not be healthy for you, whatever it might be, or even just to leave the belief in the system behind, because the system can't create the life that you want. That's all up to you. That is incredibly liberating and incredibly empowering, and pretty much anything worth doing has some level of challenge and fear that we need to get over. They are the times that we look back on that we are the most proud of ourselves. And the wisdom I've received from the higher realms is that that's when our guides are the most proud of us too, when we just make a choice and take action regardless of the outcome. That is always celebrated. Let me see if there's anything else that the card wants to tell me. Yeah, the other thing I want to say is, if in your world, whatever's happening, politics around the world, isn't really like shaking you, you know, you are in your own sphere and you are happy in your sphere, there is still a call to awaken, and you just have to listen and also look out for the signs. When I stared at the angel and I asked if there was anything else, if there was any other messages that wanted to come through, that was the message. It was look for the signs, look for the symbols. So even if in your world there's not like crazy revelations happening left, right, and center, still keep your eyes and ears open to the signs. And what is this? Signs from spirit, signs from your higher self, like I talked about earlier. Messages for you with an invitation to awaken and ascend. And what does that mean? It simply means aligning with your higher self, aligning with your highest truth, aligning with your highest wisdom. It's listening to yourself. It's choosing yourself. It is not going along with things just because everyone else is. What feels true for you, what feels right for you, that's what you're supposed to choose for yourself. And some people might say that sounds a bit selfish, but no, when we do that, we improve everything for everyone around us. Every single person in our sphere that interacts with us gets to benefit when we make those choices that align with our deepest truth, with our inner wisdom, with our intuition, with our desires to feel better than we do right now. So just to summarize, February, we have a very powerful call to action here with the Judgment card. It is going to be universally felt. We're going to have revelations of all kinds of truth that we've either been unaware of, avoiding, or have been hidden from us that are going to become completely visible and obvious, completely unable to avoid or ignore. And it's going to be up to us now what we do with that information. Are we going to choose avoidance and denial, or are we going to choose to align with our truth? Are we going to choose to remain asleep, or are we ready to awake and ascend to a higher meaning? It's your choice this month. I wish you all the best with that choice, and I hope that serves you well. I would love to hear what you think of this card in the comments, so please leave me a note and let me know how this resonates with you and how this message evolves over the month for you. If you've enjoyed this reading and you would like to work with me, I offer tarot empowerment readings. You can book those on my website, crystalauratarot.com, or check the description for my booking link. And if you enjoy my intuitive style of tarot and would like to learn how to read tarot for yourself, I offer tarot training, one-on-one tarot coaching, and tarot for beginner courses. Check out my website, Crystal Aura Tarot, or check the description for links. And if you haven't already watched my 2025 tarot energy forecast, I definitely encourage you to go check that out. It's got so much amazing wisdom for the year ahead. Just click here to watch, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for monthly energy updates and tarot tips and training. I really look forward to checking in again for next month's message in March. So until then, have a beautiful February.